Hi everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'll show you some more hacks and DIYs that you can do with nano tape. The first one was mostly about nanobubbles, and this one is going to focus on other creative things you can make, such as stickers or stars. If you want to try nano tape crafting, then you can easily order this over Amazon, and I've also linked several craft kits below. The first hack is going to be how to make a nanobubble in a strawberry shape. This one didn't go quite as smoothly as I had planned, but I decided to include the failed attempts as well. First, I'm creating a square shape using 2 strips of thin nano tape. Then I'm making the filling using red food coloring. The trick here is all about the tape placement. If you remember from my last video, I mentioned that you have to place the straw parallel to the seams of the tape in order to get a smooth round ball. This time we want to do the exact opposite. I'm wrapping this so that the tip of the syringe is at a 90-degree angle to where the 2 pieces of tape are joined up. Then I'm removing the protective layer and trimming it a bit. There's no need to heat this because the tape is fairly thin. As I'm squeezing the liquid out, you can see that the first section of tape is filling up more than the second. This automatically gives you a teardrop or strawberry shape. Pull it off the syringe and pinch all the ends shut. The next step is to add some detail, and I'm going to use museum gel, which I made a whole video about here. This is basically a clear modeling material used to keep items from falling over in museums. In my last video, I realized that the gel doesn't hold its shape over time, but it looks incredibly aesthetic for crafting. You can easily add color to it using markers, pigment, or glitter. Because nanobubbles also have a limited lifespan, these 2 materials are perfect for combining together. After your bubble has deflated or popped, you can still keep the museum gel and reuse it as often as you like. It won't dry up and it won't lose its transparency either. Just when I was making the leaves, the strawberry decided to pop on camera. The liquid looks a bit too similar to blood, making it slightly creepy. In case your bubble does this, stay calm and try to close up the hole. Nano tape is self-sealing, so you just have to press more of the surface together. I managed to fix this, but the shape is now a bit smaller than I would have liked. This also made it harder to paint on facial features, and I started rushing a bit because I didn't want it to break again. So on the whole, I wasn't really happy with this version because it doesn't look that tidy, and the clear red shade doesn't provide good enough contrast for the facial features. That's why for the next hack, I'm going to tone down the liquid. I'm adding titanium white paint to the same red liquid until I have a strawberry milk color. To be honest, you can probably use a tiny bit of milk with food coloring if you want to create pastel shades. Bear in mind that 90% of nanobubbles will break within a few hours, so that's not enough time for the milk to go bad. You just have to clean everything up more thoroughly and keep an eye on the time frame. Just like before, I'm squeezing this at a perpendicular angle to the tape and it produces a perfect strawberry shape. Next, I'm adding the leaves made from museum gel, plus a tiny stem. Museum gel sticks really well to nano tape and it can also be removed and repositioned. This strawberry is slightly bigger than the last one, so it's easier to paint. The pastel color really makes the black stand out, which is the effect I'm looking for. Similar to the peas from this video, I'm changing the shades a little bit for the mouth and cheeks. I'm much happier with how this strawberry turned out, and I love how this method shows that you're not just limited to using spherical shapes for nanobubbles. This outline could also work for pears, avocados, alien heads, or turned sideways for a unicorn. So here's a follow-up to the bubble, and it did pop a few hours later. This is what the majority of your nanobubbles are going to look like, and that's perfectly normal. But in this case, I'm going to take out the museum gel, clean it up a bit, and reuse it. The next DIY is how to make origami stars, which was also my very first tutorial on YouTube. This is perfect for using up nano tape that's too thin for making bubbles. These 2 came in the same set as the wider tape that I used for the strawberry, so I'm pretty happy that I can use them here. First, you want to cut off a piece that's about as long as those typical origami star paper strips. A perfectly transparent star is a bit boring, so I'm going to add some color with alcohol markers. These are pretty sheer and they're great for creating a watercolor or marbled effect. Don't worry if it looks a bit pale, because once these stars are rolled up, the color becomes a lot brighter. So if you want pastel shades, then just color on one side, and if you want bright colors, then you can do both sides. And of course, you might as well add some glitter, which pairs perfectly with the transparency of Nano tape. I forgot to mention it earlier, but you should definitely keep baking paper or a silicone mat under your work surface. This lets you move the tape around very easily, even if it doesn't have the protective film on. Hack number 5 is how to make your tape less sticky. For this DIY, we're going to apply liquid soap on both sides, just to the sections shown here. This is important because it lets you complete the first part of the origami star without everything getting stuck together. Fold one end over the top and then effectively tie a knot using the tape. If you do this carefully, then you'll notice that the straight edges of the tape automatically form a pentagon shape. Now start wrapping the long side of the tape around the pentagon. The edges have a slight angle to them, which guides the tape into the correct position. Then use your fingertips to press the sides inwards, creating the 5 points of the star. You'll need to repeat this a few times because Nano tape is firmer than paper, but you should end up with the same type of origami star, and I think this looks adorable. The purple one is where I colored the tape on both sides, and you can see how intense that color looks when layered together. This blue one ended up slightly flimsy because the tape strip I used was a bit too short. I did discover that you can also apply glitter to the outside once the star is done, so feel free to try that as well. The tape keeps it in place pretty well, and there won't be any loose glitter falling off. For the next hack, I thought of a way to fix the shape of these stars. Fill a mug up with hot water and place the star inside. It might float around a bit, so hold it underwater for about 30 seconds. Once you take it out, you have to let it cool down until it feels warm but not burning to touch. Be very careful here because there can still be hot water trapped within the layers of the tape, and you obviously don't want that coming out when you squeeze it. Once the tape is cool enough to touch, just pinch the sides in again, and this time you will notice that it stays in shape more easily. Especially for the blue one, it was pretty flimsy at first, but now it looks like a cute star. If you're not allowed to work with boiling water, then be sure to get a parent supervision for this part. A hairdryer will work as well, but you have to hold the star in place with a fork or a pencil or something, otherwise it'll get blown away. The next DIY is how to make super easy Nano tape stickers. I have a semi-viral short on this method, so I wanted to create a more detailed explanation. And of course, because I'm currently addicted to Tears of the Kingdom, I decided to create these jumbo-sized Korok stickers as well. To get started, you'll need some drawing supplies and scissors. You can create literally anything you want using this method. I'm going to use colored pencils, but you can also write some words, use photos, or cut out images from magazines. The most important thing about colored pencils is to always layer several shades on top of each other. Just one color looks too washed out, and your pencil strokes are also more visible. I'm starting with a basic beige for the capybara, and then going over everything with a dark brown. Next up is the Korok, and the colors for these are actually slightly tricky. The body is usually an olive green mixed with beige or grey undertones, so I'm going to use these 3 pencils. I'm layering them over each other and then using the green to create more details. The Korok leaf is much brighter, so I'm going to start by laying down the vein pattern using yellow. Then I'm using this emerald green shade, which is far too bright on its own, but it provides the vibrant contrast needed with the body. Next, I'm switching to a warm dark green, which I often think of as link green because it's the same color as his tunic. I'm using this to tone down the first green and also add details around the edge of the leaf. Last of all, I'm going to give the mask a shadow using dark blue, and you can see how this really makes it pop out. Now cut everything out, leaving a small edge of white. I also made a Jump Love Pokemon sticker, which I know is incredibly random, but this was a request from my daughter. If your stickers are small enough to fit onto one strip of Nano tape, then it's a bit easier to make. Just cut off a segment like this, and I recommend decorating it with glitter as well. When doing so, make sure that you use see-through iridescent glitter and the particles should be as small as possible. Chunky or colorful glitter will block out details from your stickers and you obviously don't want that. Take a paintbrush and dust the sticky side of the tape very lightly. Spread it out a bit so you have a nice glittery layer like this. Now place your sticker design side down onto the tape. Add as many as you can and then cover this with a second layer of tape and smooth out any air bubbles. Then cut your design out again and your sticker is done. And the final hack is how to create larger sheets of nano tape to make big stickers. You might also need this method if your roll of tape is pretty narrow to begin with. You need to join up 2 sheets of nano tape exactly at the edges, and I find the easiest way to do this is using 2 paintbrushes. Nano tape doesn't stick to anything with a rough surface, including the bristles of a brush. Simply push them together firmly and then apply pressure up and down the tape. Once you can move it around in one piece like this, then it's ready. If you try to use your fingers for this part, then the tape is going to stick to your skin before it sticks to itself. Now I'm sprinkling on the glitter and then placing my design face down onto the tape. You want to keep as much of your sticker on one sheet of nano tape as possible. As you can see here, the gap falls just across the narrow part of the cork leaf and it's virtually invisible. Try to avoid having the tape edge go all the way across your design, which of course makes it more noticeable. These stickers are double-sided, which means that you can also stick them onto glass or plastic using the front part of the nano tape. You can also remove these without leaving a residue, but you might end up destroying the paper design in the process. So try to find a good place for them which doesn't require repositioning. I hope you enjoyed the second part of this nano hack compilation, and please check out the first one if you haven't done so yet. I'm also very active on Shorts with lots of exclusive content, so be sure to subscribe for those as well. I'm Joanna, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye!